Hebron. Yes, Hebron. One of the most renowned spots of the world. For many years it was the home of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The cave of Machpelah is here.
That's very true, Joshua, but it isn't a friendly spot any longer. It's now occupied by the Anakims, probably the fiercest people in all the world.
Man, did you ever see such large giants as these Anakims?
I didn't even know such large men existed. They make us look like mere pygmies.
The cities of Anakim. Such strong walls, fortified, positively impregnable they are.
I think it's impossible for us to conquer Canaan. The people are too strong.
The Lord is on our side. Nothing is impossible to God.
Anyway, it's not our duty to decide if we can or cannot occupy Canaan. Our job is to look it over and report what we find to Moses.
People of Israel, you have heard our report. Canaan is a good land. It is beautiful and productive. Nevertheless, there are many difficulties and dangers that we will face if we undertake to conquer the land.
Man, what my companion says is true. Canaan is populated by giants so large that by comparison we are mere pygmies.
The nations of Canaan are powerful. The cities are walled and impregnable. It is useless to even think of possessing the land.
We are not able to go up against the people, but they are stronger than we and will conquer us.
We would be better off to remain here or go back to Egypt.
Listen to me, my people. I am Caleb. I am one of the 12 you sent to spy out Canaan. What these two have just said about Canaan is true. Yet it is also true that our God is stronger than 1,000,000 Canaans. He is well able to deliver the people into our hands. Together with Joshua, I beg of you, let us trust in the Lord our God and go up and possess Canaan.
Caleb and Joshua do not tell you the truth. They are unfaithful to God and to you and your families. It would be better for us to die in the wilderness than to die fighting the strong nations of Canaan.
Yes, David. I well remember all that, even though it was over 40 years ago. You and I were the only 2 men of the 12 who had lived to inherit Canaan.
We were the only 2 with faith enough to believe Canaan could be conquered. And one important truth of life is, according to your faith, be it unto you.
It was only by a miracle of God that we were saved from being stoned by the angry people. How many times since then, Caleb, my friend, have I thanked God that we, you and I, were faithful and strong enough to stand up to our belief that Israel could inherit Canaan.
There's one thing, Joshua, that I should like to remind you of. Remember what God, through Moses, promised me right after the people were hushed by the manifestation of God's glory?
I think so. If I remember correctly, the exact words were these. My servant Caleb, because he had another spirit within him and hath followed me fully, him will I bring into the land whereinto he went.
Yes, but there was one more promise, a more specific one. The very land of the giants that brought about the fear of Israel to possess Canaan was promised me as an inheritance.
You wish Hebron as a permanent inheritance?
Yes, sir, please.
But Hebron hasn't been conquered. The giant Anakimentes still possess the land.
If the Lord will be with me, then shall I be able to drive them out.
Oh, but you're old, Caleb. Wouldn't you prefer to possess a land already conquered?
Our people must have an example of true bravery and faith. The tribes must be encouraged to fully subdue the land which their fathers had deemed unconquerable.
Oh, bless you, Caleb. To none other can the conquest of this giant stronghold be more safely entrusted. Your request is granted. The land of Hebron shall be an inheritance to you and to your seed forever and ever. Having obtained the inheritance and trusting in God, Caleb and his house drove the 3 sons of Anak out of the cities and mountains and possessed the land. His zeal did not abate. He did not settle down to enjoy his inheritance, but pushed on to further conquests for the benefit of the nation and the glory of God. Caleb Caleb had not asked for a land already conquered. He did not desire honor or aggrandizement for himself. Rather, the brave old warrior was desirous of giving the people an example that would honor God and encourage the tribes to fully subdue the land, which their fathers had deemed unconquerable. Joshua received another request. However, a request entirely different from Caleb's. A request born of greed, selfishness, vanity, and pride.
May I speak to you, Joshua, about a very important matter?
Of course.
I represent the tribes of Ephraim and Manasseh. We are children of Joseph. We are a mighty and superior tribe.
Yes.
Because of our superior numbers and greatness, we demand that we be allotted a double portion of land.
You have already been given the richest land in Canaan.
True, Joshua, but we want more land. Anyway, many of the cities of the valley are still in possession of the Canaanites.
And your tribe shrink from the toil and danger of conquering those cities. Is that it?
Well, of course not. We need more land, and we think it's only fair that we be given additional territory that has already been subdued.
If Mount Ephraim and the valleys be too small, and if you be a great and powerful tribe, I suggest that you go to the wood country of the Perizzites, the giants, and hew out additional land for yourselves.
You refuse to grant us additional inheritance?
I refuse to depart from strict justice and right.
But Joshua, the Canaanites that dwell in the valley are mighty, and they have chariots of iron.
The real cause of your complaint is that you lack the faith and courage to drive out the Canaanites.
We demand a hearing and judgment of our claim.
You argue that you are a strong and great people, numerous and powerful. By your own argument shall you be judged. Being a great tribe, as you yourself claim, you are well able to make your own way, as do your brother tribes. With the help of God and proper faith, you have no cause to fear the Canaanites, nor their chariots of iron.
My dear people of Israel, ever since we crossed the Jordan River, we have been camped here in Gilgal. From this place we have subdued most of the peoples of Canaan. We have divided the land of Canaan among the 12 tribes. And now we must move on to a new location. In almost the exact center of Canaan lies the town of Shiloh. The territory around Shiloh has been thoroughly subdued and the enemy routed. We shall move our camp to Shiloh.
And the whole congregation of Israel assembled together at Shiloh and set up the tabernacle of the congregation there. Soon after the tabernacle was set up in Shiloh, there came a disturbing bit of news about the two tribes on the eastern side of the Jordan.
You wish to see me, Phineas?
Yes, on a very important matter.
Well, I certainly shall listen to one who is as zealous in the welfare of our people as you, Phineas. I well remember how you handled the affair with Zimri, and then later how you led 10,000 of our men of valor in victory against the 5 kings of Midian. You wish to see me, I presume, relative to your duties as priest in the sanctuary.
No, sir. It has to do with the tribes settled on the other side of the Jordan.
Yes.
Sir, they have erected an altar of burnt offering beside the Jordan River.
An altar of burnt offering?
Yes, sir.
The law of God prohibits on pain of death the establishment of any place of worship except the one here at the sanctuary.
I know, sir.
Oh, I have been worried about them. Just so far away from the influence of the sanctuary service, and so close to the temptations of heathen peoples, that I feared for their apostasy.
What are you going to do about it, Joshua, sir?
We must not let it remain unpunished, Phineas. It will lead the people away from the true faith. And perhaps we should have a general assembly of the people and discover what their wishes are in the matter.
accusation against our brother tribes on the other side of the Jordan. What is your wish in the matter?
There's only one course open to us, sir. Make war against them, and forever stamp out them and their apostasy.
Oh, people of Israel, how do we know that the report we received is true?
It is true, Phineas. Our brothers have erected altars for the Jordan. That is in direct disobedience to the commands of God, and according to the law, must be punished by death.
I readily admit that such an act is worthy of death. However, before punishment is pronounced upon them, it is only right and proper to let them defend themselves. We should give them an opportunity to explain their conduct.
They should be put to death, every one of them.
Just a minute, my dear people. Phineas is right. His counsel is sound. In fairness to our brothers, we should send a delegation to discover the full truth of the matter. If guilty, they will be properly punished. If we punish them without a fair trial, we will be guilty of mass murder. With your approval, I shall appoint one prince from each of the tribes to go to Gad and Reuben on the other side of the Jordan to discover the truth.
Are the representatives from Gad and Reuben present? They are all here. You may proceed. As you know, we are 10 princes sent here by Joshua and the congregation of the 10 tribes. Word reached us that you have erected an altar of burnt offering in direct disobedience to God's specific command.
But, Phineas, sir, the altar we erected at the Jordan...
Then you admit to erecting the altar.
Yes, of course.
Know you not that such an act is rebelling against God?
But, Phineas, sir,
Excuses will not erase the sin against you. How could you have done so? Such open rebellion and apostasy. How could you have forgotten so soon the judgments visited upon Israel because of their apostasy at Peor? But perchance this side is too far removed from the tabernacle and its services, and you are unwilling to remain here without an altar of sacrifice. So Joshua and all Israel offer you a share in the possessions and privileges on the other side of the Jordan. Well, have you finished speaking, Phineas? There is nothing more I can say.
And may I now speak for my people?
We are here for that specific purpose.
We did erect an altar beside the river Jordan, but not an altar of sacrifice. It simply stands as a witness that we, on this side of the Jordan, are also worshippers of the living God.
Not for one.
We were fearful lest our children and our children's children might forget God. And because of their separation by distance from the tabernacle of God, they might be excluded from the services and blessings of the sanctuary. That is why, my brethren, we erected an altar of remembrance. With great joy, the ambassadors accepted this explanation and immediately carried back the tidings to Joshua and Israel. And all the people were united in rejoicing and praise to God.
In thee, O Lord, do I put my trust, for thou art my hope. Thou art my trust from my youth. Thy righteousness, O Lord, is very high. My soul shall sing unto thee, for there is none like unto thee.
And Joshua, the servant of the Lord, died, being 110 years old. And Israel served the Lord all the days of Joshua, and all the days of the elders that outlived Joshua.
What's that? A lion. He's going to pounce on me.
a weapon of any kind, I'll have to fight him barehanded.
But the champion of champions. The story about the champion of champions begins with a very mysterious and unusual incident in the life of the Manoah family, living in Israel on a hill near the border of the enemy country of the Philistines. One day, Mrs. Manoah was in the vineyard back of the house when someone approached her and said,
Mrs. Manoah,
Yes, sir.
you have no children?
No. I wish we did have. We love children so much, my husband and I.
You will have a son, Mrs. Manoah. When you have this child, you will refrain from drinking wine or strong drink. You will also not eat any unclean thing, and no razor or shears shall ever be used of the child, for he shall be tempered in all things.
Then Mrs. Manoah ran to the house and told her husband, saying,
We're going to have a child, a son.
"A son? What are you talking
The
about?"
prophet that I met back in the field. He promised that we would have a son.
You say he was a prophet of God?
I don't know. He must have been, or else he wouldn't have known that we're to have a son.
Well, didn't you ask him who he was?
I didn't ask him who he was or where he came from. But he did tell me that when I have the child, I am not to eat unclean things or drink strong drink, and that we are never to shave his face or cut his hair.
He was a man of God. He must have been.
I forgot to tell you. The man said that our son would deliver Israel from the Philistines.
The deliverer of Israel is to be our son. I only hope that we, as his parents, bring him up properly and teach him right from wrong. If only I had been there and talked to the man myself, I would have got more information from him.
Well, if he was a man of God, he will come again. If you will pray and ask him.
Yes, I will. I will pray and God will send the man again. O God of heaven and earth, let the man of God which thou didst send unto my wife come again unto us and teach us exactly how to bring up our son in the way he should go.
The man came again and talked to me.
Where?
Back in the field. Come, I'll show you.
Are you the man who told my wife that we are to have a son?
I am.
Stay with us a while, at least until we can prepare our lunch and offer a sacrifice.
Even though I do remain a while with you, I will not partake of thy food, but I will wait here until you offer a burnt offering unto the Lord.
So Manoah offered a burnt offering unto the Lord, and the man did wondrous things while Manoah and his wife looked on. The man went upward in the flame and disappeared out of their sight into heaven. Disappearing heavenward in the flames.
A miracle.
If he's a prophet, he'll be back. But the man appeared no more to Manoah and his wife. Then they knew that the man was an angel of the Lord. And Manoah said unto his wife, He was an angel from heaven. Surely what he said will come to pass. We will have a son. The angel's prediction came true. They had a son and named him Samson. Samson cried louder and longer than other babies. He was the champion baby crier. In time, Samson grew into a lad of 12. And as many 12-year-olds do, he had many tussles with other boys. Samson always won. He was a champion 12-year-old. One day, Samson, with his mother and father, were traveling to a nearby Philistine town to make arrangements to marry a beautiful young lady of Timnah.
You and Mother go on, Father. I'm going to stop here in the vineyard for a while. Nice. How are you, son?
Won't you reconsider, son? Surely there are girls of our own nationality that you can marry.
No, Mother, I want to marry her. She's beautiful, and she's just the girl I want for a wife.
All right, Samson. We'll go on and make the arrangements.
I'll be along as soon as I think you've had time to complete the arrangements.
All right, Samson.
It's about time I went on and saw my intended bride. A lion! Hungry lion, and he's going to attack me. A weapon? Nothing, not even a club. Well, I'll have to fight him with my bare hands. That was close. I ripped his jaw apart. Dear God of our fathers, thank you for giving me strength and victory over the lion. I won't tell anybody about this. They wouldn't believe me anyway. I'll stop and bathe in the river, then go and see my bride.
And so began the career of a mighty man, a champion of champions. The next incident proving his strength came after he had been tricked into revealing a riddle in connection with the lion he had slain. And the Spirit of the Lord came upon Samson, and he went down to Ashkelon and slew 30 men of them, and took their spoil, and gave chains of garments unto them which expounded the riddle. And his anger was kindled, and he returned to his father's house. Soon after this, Samson was forced to flee from the Philistines and take refuge in a small cave near the top of a mountain. The Philistine army took after him and made camp near the foot of the mountain. Immediately, a delegation of Israelites called upon the general of the Philistine army.
We are come as a delegation of the Israelite nation, and we would like...
I know who you are. What do you want?
You and your army, what are you doing in Israel? We aren't at war with you. The war is over.
We will be at war again if you don't deliver Samson to us.
Samson?
Yes, Samson. We are here to take him captive. And when we get him, we're going to do to him as he has done to us.
But the last we heard, Samson was over in your country.
He isn't now. We chased him here. He's up there somewhere on that mountain.
Probably hiding in the cave of Edom.
Regardless of where he is, you better find him and turn him over to us, or you have a major war on your hands.
Samson! Samson! He doesn't seem to be here.
He's just cautious. Call him again.
Samson! Samson!
Tell him who we are. He thinks we're Philistines.
Samson! We are a delegation of thy Israelite brethren.
I'm listening.
Come out where we can see you.
You want
You, Samson!
me?
We want you to surrender to us.
You turned me over to the Philistines.
If we don't, there's going to be war.
Let the Philistines capture me themselves. If they want me so badly.
Please, let us find you and deliver you to the Philistines. That's the only way we can avert war with them. And war means death and suffering to our women and children.
Promise you won't harm me if I surrender to you.
We promise, Samson. All we want is to deliver you to the Philistine general.
All right, brethren. Bind me with new rope and deliver me to the Philistines.
We found him and brought him to you.
Oh, so you are Samson, the strong man, huh? no stronger than the weakest. Men of the Philistine army, this is Samson, the Strong Man. What do you think of him?
He looks about as strong as a baby to me.
The Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon Samson, and the cords that were upon his arms became as wax that was burnt with fire, and his bands loosed from off his hands. And he found a jawbone and slew 1,000 men therewith. Single-handed and armed only with the jawbone of a donkey, Samson fought that entire Philistine army and proved once again that he was a strong man, the strongest man who had ever lived, the champion of champions. For the next 20 years, Samson ruled Israel as their judge. During all that time, the Philistines hated him, but could find no occasion to do anything about their hatred. Then one day, Samson went to Gaza and stayed all night at a certain house.
General, I hear Samson's here in the city. Going to stay all night. It's the chance we've been waiting for.
You know where he is?
Yes, sir.
Good. We'll get him this time.
Shall I capture him now, General?
Oh, you don't know, Samson. You better take a regiment and lay in wait for him at the city gate.
Now?
Of course now. He may try to sneak away during the night. In the morning, when he tries to leave, nab him.
Yes, sir.
On second thought, I'll go with you.
General, sir, I believe the lions. The gate is shut and locked. Samson couldn't escape even if he tried.
We're not taking any chances. If Samson were to sneak up and hear us, discover that we're laying in wait for him, there's no telling what he might do.
Someone's coming to the gate. Maybe it's Samson.
Get the soldiers out of sight.
They are, sir. It is Samson. He stopped at the gate.
He can't escape us this time.
He's trying to unlock the gate.
Let him try.
General, look at him. He's holding the gate posts and carrying them all. Posts of gold.
What strength. Quick, get your regiment out. Take after Samson.
There's only one regiment, sir. We wouldn't have a chance against a man like Samson.
For years and years, the Philistines have hated Samson. Especially did the general of a Philistine army hate Samson.
I'll get him someday. For 20 years, he's got the best of me. But my day is coming.
In the valley of Sorek, not far from Jerusalem, lived a very beautiful Philistine woman named Delilah. One day, she was visited by the general of the Philistine army.
I understand, Delilah, that Samson visits you quite frequently.
Perhaps not.
You are a Philistine, aren't you?
Of course.
You want to help your country? Then tell me all you know about Samson.
What do you want to know, General?
Does he love you?
I think so. I think he's madly in love with me.
And you with him?
I like him. I like to be seen with him. He's a strong man, General, a famous man, and I think I love him.
More than you do your country?
No, General, I love my country more than I love Samson.
Now we are getting somewhere. You're beautiful, Delilah, and unscrupulous. You should be able to handle Samson.
That depends.
We'll pay you. Pay you well.
Keep talking.
We'll pay you 1,100 pieces of silver.
Now we are getting somewhere.
Samson's danger is in his superhuman strength. Find out the source of his strength. He'll tell you, you tell us. and we'll be able to bind him, subdue him, afflict him. That's going to be a real pleasure. I'll personally inflict punishment on him.
Samson, dear, is it true that you once killed a lion barehanded? And that you've killed unnumbered soldiers with nothing more than a club?
Oh, let's talk about it.
Samson, what makes you so strong?
Exercise, my dear.
Oh, no, Samson, it isn't exercise. It's something special. Else you couldn't escape from whole armies as you have. You're so strong, nothing can hold you.
You, want to know my secret?
Yes, Samson.
Well, Delilah, if someone were to bind me with a green and unused bowstring, I could not escape. I would be as weak as any man. Oh, dear, what's the matter?
You lied to me about the bowstring. It didn't make you weak at all.
You're evil and wicked, Delilah. You wanted my secret just so you could tell the Philistine general so you could capture me.
They forced me to tell.
How could they force you to tell?
Well, they did. Oh, Samson, you do believe me, don't you? Oh, Samson, you know I wouldn't lie to you. Truly, I wouldn't.
I hope not.
But you have lied to me, Samson. Please tell me the truth, Samson. Tell me the secret of your great strength.
All right, Delilah. But you won't tell the Philistine general.
Oh, no, of course not, dear.
Well, if you braid my hair into 7 braids and head it to a stake, I'll become as weak as ordinary men.
Oh, thank you, Samson. You do love me, don't you? I hate you, Samson. Hate you. Lied to me. You mocked me. You made fun of me. You won't tell me the truth about a simple little thing like the source of your strength.
Oh, but
Don't love me. If you truly love me, you tell me the truth.
I can't, Delilah.
You don't love me. That's why you can't.
I do love you, Delilah.
Then tell me the secret of your strength, Samson. Please.
No. No. Aren't you ever going to talk about anything else?
No. Not until you tell me the truth about the secret source of your strength.
And it came to pass, when Delilah pressed him daily with her words, and urged him and nagged him, that his soul was vexed unto death, and he told her all the secrets of his power.
Want to know my secret? Well, I'll tell you.
Don't lie to me again,
I
Samson.
won't any to stop your constant nagging. Before I was born, an angel told my mother to never cut my hair or shave my head. If my hair be cut short, then I will become like other men, weak, unable to protect myself.
That's the truth, Samson.
It is.
Oh, thank you, Samson. You do love me.
No, I do.
Just the same, Samson. I wish you'd go now. I want to. Well, I've got to get ready for some visitors. I'll see you this evening at 8.
All right, Delilah. I'll be back at 8.
Goodbye, Samson.
Bye.
I'll see you this evening. Martha. Martha!
Yes, mistress?
Quick, run get the general and have him come here at once. At once, do you hear?
Was he telling you the truth, Delilah?
I'm sure it was, General. I could tell by the way he said it.
At last, we'll have him in our power.
He's coming back at 8 o'clock. When your men get here about 7:30, I'll hide you in the other room. I'll get Samson to sleep, and the barber can shave his head. And he'll be just as weak as any other man. Samson, nicely. General, you and your men can come in now. Found. Where's the barber?
Get busy, barber. Shave this man's head.
And then get him out of here. Betrayed him, and I don't want him to be around any longer than necessary.
And when Samson awoke out of the sleep, he wist not that the Lord was departed from him. The Philistines took him captive, and put out his eyes, and brought him to Gaza, and bound him with fetters of brass, and he did grind in the prison house. Then the Lord of the Philistines made a great feast, and they brought Samson in their midst to scorn and laugh at him.
Well, Samson, you're not so strong now. How do you like being a slave, grinding our corn? You slew lions, you fought entire armies, and now, Samson, you're going out there in the arena and furnish sport for my guests. We'll see how strong you are. But General, I am blind. So you are. That'll be even greater sport. Lad, lead Samson out to the center of the arena.
There were some 3,000 Philistine lords and ladies that made merry over Samson. When the ordeal was over, the lad led Samson back out of the arena.
Tired, lad, awfully tired. Show me to the pillars that hold up this great building, that I might lean on them and rest.
Yes, sir. Right this way, sir. Is it true, sir, that you used to be as strong as a dozen oxen?
Lord God of heaven gave us.
You killed a lion with your bare hands?
Yes, with God here.
Why aren't you strong now, like you used to be?
Because I left the love for a wicked woman, my own false pride. I disobeyed God.
Oh, here you are, sir. These are the pillars of the building.
Thank you, lad. Now, why don't you go outside and out in the sunlight? Get some fresh air. I do want you out of the building.
All right, sir. If you want me to.
I do. And hurry, lad.
I'll be back after you want.
Lord God of Abraham, forgive me, I pray thee, for my grievous transgressions. Remember me now, and strengthen me, that I may be avenged of the Philistines for my 2 eyes, and for thee. Give me the strength to push against these pillars, bring down this house upon these wicked Philistines. Amen. I will die along with the wicked Philistines.
And thus ended the life of Samson, the champion of champions. The evil Philistines he slew at his death were more than those he slew in his entire life, bringing judgment to the Philistines who worshipped the false god Dagon and scorned the true God of heaven.
The defendant will stand and face Judge Eli while sentence is passed.
This case has not been easy to judge.
It is unfortunate that the land is in such a state of turmoil. Moses made provision in the laws for the poor and needy. The laws are sufficient. I know it's hard to listen to the cries of hungry children, to be their father and not try to get them something to eat. Perhaps you could have found work if you had tried just a little harder. But instead, you stole a sheep, and you killed it and ate it, you and your family. Now, the law of Moses is very specific with regard to a theft of this nature. You must restore the stolen sheep fourfold.
But, Your Honor, I cannot restore even one sheep, let alone 4. We were starving. We had to have something to eat. I searched and searched for work, but could find no one to hire me. We went after the gleaners, as the law provides, but they left nothing. Nothing at all. What could I do? We had to eat.
You must restore fourfold. If you cannot do so by any other means, then you will have to sell either yourself or one of your children to be a slave. I have spoken, so shall it be.
The Wayward Sons.
After Eli returned from the seat of judgment unto his own home, his wife came unto him and said,
Eli, you have got to punish your sons, Hophni and Phinehas.
Oh, but what have they done now?
They stole grapes from Thamar's vineyard.
Oh, you're sure of this?
One of Thamar's servants was working in the vineyard and saw them.
Well, perhaps he lied.
The servant was Ram, and you know he wouldn't lie.
No, he wouldn't.
Shall I have the boys come in and see you?
Yes, I guess so. What is it, sons? Your mother tells me that you stole some grapes from Thamar's vineyard.
You didn't steal that.
Never mind who told her. Did you take some grapes with you from his vineyard?
I don't know. What difference does it make if we did? We have the right to eat all we want.
Sons, you're better acquainted with the law than that. You know that those provisions were made primarily for travelers. You also know that in any case you are not to take fruit from the vineyard with you. To do so is to steal.
I think you're making a big issue over nothing. Besides, we're Levites. Thamar has a duty to help support us, the old miser.
Hophni, Thamar is not a miser. He is a good, kind man.
Well, he shouldn't begrudge us a few grapes. We were hungry.
Sons, that's not the point. The point is that you stole something that was not yours, and you should make restitution.
I'm not going to make restitution to him for a few old grapes.
Me either.
Look, Father, we're Levites, priests. We don't
But
have
you
more-
boys are not
We
priests.
should be. We're old enough.
You're the high priest and we're your sons. We should serve at the tabernacle with you.
Perhaps someday you will be priests.
Not someday, now. We want to start right away.
But you are not worthy, or at least not ready yet to be
Not
priests.
ready. We are too ready. We know the law. We watched you serve at the tabernacle since we were boys. We know the customs and services better than anyone else in Israel.
Well, it is true that you know the customs. But oh, my sons, if only your lives were what they should be. How can I make you priests? But we'll see.
If Eli had weighed the terrible consequences of indulging his sons, he would have punished them at once. Instead, he listened to their request and allowed them to become priests and serve at the tabernacle. But they did not respect their holy office. Meanwhile, in another part of Israel, another priest by the name of Elkanah was preparing to leave his home to serve at the tabernacle.
Anna, you have my things ready?
Yes, dear, here you are. And Elkanah, while you're at the tabernacle, will you pray to the Lord that he give me a child, a son?
I will, dear, although I'm sure he knows your longing. Does Penina still lord it over you because she has children and you don't?
Yes. More and more each day, it seems.
I suppose I shouldn't have married her, even though you are barren. She has brought a lot of bickering to our once happy home, but I must be on my way. Your
Hurry, Jump. Goodbye, dear.
Goodbye, Uncle.
Say, Brother Phineas, did you see that fellow over there who just came into the courtyard?
You mean the one with the bundle of belongings?
Yes. Who do you suppose he's coming?
Why, it's obvious. He's a priest come to serve his term of duty here at the tabernacle.
Exactly. Now tell me, have you felt the need of any more help around here?
No, and quit trying to be funny. Get rid of him like we have the others.
Hello there. Sir, can I help you?
Yes, can you tell me where I'll find High Priest Eli?
He's in the tabernacle. Busy. State your desires.
Well, my name is Elkanah. I've come to serve my term of duty. And just who sent for you to come? Elkanah. Why, no one. This is the month during which I always serve.
Look, friend, we've got a new system now.
Yeah, you don't just show up here any old time and expect a free handout
From now on, if we want you to come and work, we'll let you know. Understand?
No, I don't understand. It's the custom for the priest to serve their term on a rotation basis, not by request.
Now, we've told you once, and we're not going to tell you once more. We've got a new system.
You're not needed, you're not wanted, so get out. I'm going to see your father Eli about this.
I told you he's busy.
I don't care how busy he is. You can't keep me from seeing him. We're his assistants. If you want to see him, you have to make your request through us. I'll do nothing of the sort. I have had enough of this nonsense. I'm going to see Eli, and I'm going to see him right now. Out of my way.
That'll be all right, Brother Phineas. Father understands the system as well as we do.
Eli, sir, may I have a word with you? Why, but if it isn't Elkanah. Come in, my son. How are you? How's the family? You seem to be as fit as ever. I don't know. I thought I was until I met your sons, Hophni and Phineas. Hophni and Phineas? Did they trouble you? They tell me that my services are no longer needed. So that's it. Well, since they've been assisting me, we don't need as many of the other priests as we once did. You know how it is. The country's in such a turmoil. Some of the priests don't show up, and many people aren't paying their tithes as they should. So there isn't enough money to support the tabernacle as there should be.
Yes.
I was sure that you would understand. Now tell me, how's your family? Oh, they're all right, I guess. I'm glad to hear that. It's been pleasant to see you again. In a few months, it will be the Feast of Tabernacles. Perhaps I'll see you when you come up then. Yes, perhaps.
Why, Elkanah, what's wrong? Why are you back so soon?
They told me I wasn't needed.
Not needed? And just why not?
Eli's two sons, Hophni and Phineas, are serving in the tabernacle. They're not having any of the other priests serve.
Hophni and Phineas? Why, they're just boys. They're not priests.
I'm afraid Eli has made them priests.
The very idea. Wonder so many people are forsaking the worship of the God of heaven.
No. We must not let the misdeeds of others cause us to lose faith in God. He is a God of love.
Yes, I know. Did you remember to ask God to give me a son?
No. I was so upset after talking to Eli and his sons that I completely forgot it until just now. I'm sorry, dear.
I understand. I know you must have been upset. It's just that...
What? Delilah?
Yes.
By the way, where is she now?
She's out playing with the children, I think. Oh, Elkanah, why doesn't God let me have children too?
I don't know. I wish I did. But come now, dry your tears. Crying up, but it won't help. I'll tell you what. In a few months, it will be the Feast of Tabernacles. We'll all go up to the temple together, and while we're there, you can make a special request to God yourself. All right?
All right.
Anna, how are the preparations coming for the journey to Shiloh for the feast?
Just fine, dear. We're almost ready.
Just about ready. Ha! You forget that I still have to get the children ready.
I'll be glad to help you, Banana.
Oh, sure. You're always glad to help. You think they were your children instead of mine.
I didn't mean it that way. I was only
No. Stop this bickering. This is no time for a family quarrel. Banana, I should think that you would welcome Hannah's help. You're always complaining about all the work you have.
I'm not complaining. It's just that I get sick and tired of her poor little childless me attitude. It's plain enough to see that she has displeased God, and that's why she's barren.
Admit, now, you know that's not so. You apologize to Hannah, and don't ever let me hear you talk like that again.
All right. I'm sorry.
You're forgiven, Delilah. Now, what can I do to help you?
Oh, why don't you go start getting the children dressed? I'll be along in a few moments.
All right.
Father, how much longer till we'll get to Shiloh?
Well, it's not far now. You should be able to see the city when we round that next bend in the trail.
Can I help you make the booth this year?
Yes, I guess you can. First, we'll have to find several branches. And
Are
then
we going to camp at the usual place?
So why not? It's a good site, not too far from the sanctuary. There's a good water supply. Now, if you know the better spot.
No, I guess it's all right.
Oh, there's the city of Shiloh. We can see it now.
Father, can I run on ahead, please?
All right, but not too far. Now, don't get lost. Oh, the children are so happy. This should be a joyous time for all of us.
Father, can I put another piece of wood on the fire?
Yes, I guess so. Be careful now. Put it right there at the side. That's it.
Come on, children. It's time for you to go to bed.
Already? We just got the campfire going good.
Oh, it wouldn't hurt for them to stay up a little later tonight for the piano.
Are you trying to tell me how to bring up my children?
Why, no, it's just that
It's just none of your concern. If you know so much about bringing up children, why don't you have some?
No, Hannah, stop the fussing. Let's not spoil this evening with a fight. This is to be a joyous occasion. And tomorrow we will have the peace offering feast. Why, it's supposed to signify brotherhood and goodwill toward one another.
Yes, dear.
I'm sorry, Delilah. I didn't mean to tell you what to do.
You're always sorry. Come on, children. Get to bed. Morning will be here soon enough.
Father, can I go to the tabernacle with you?
No, dear. I think you'd better stay here. I have to go to the tabernacle while the peace offering is sacrificed. I won't be gone long.
Good morning, sir. Are you preparing for a peace offering?
Yes, Your Grace. The fat is on the altar and all is in readiness.
Give me my priestly portion, then.
As soon as the fat is burned, you'll get your just portion.
I'm too busy to wait. Give it to me now.
The law clearly states...
Don't tell me what the law... wait a minute. Shouldn't I know you? Yes, I remember now. Brother Phineas, come over here a minute. What's the problem, brother? No problem. It's just that this priest, remember him? Anyway, as I recall, his name is Elkanah. He was trying to tell me about the law.
Sure, I remember. Look, Elkanah, around here we are the law. Understand? I understand that you do not realize the importance of your holy office.
Quite the contrary. We do realize our importance. If you're smart, you'll give us our portion of the sacrifice now, or we'll take it by force.
All right, here you are.
Come on, more than that.
At least 4 times as much. But that won't leave enough for my family to have a feast. That's your problem. Now give it here, or we'll take it.
Why, Elkanah, you're back sooner than usual.
Well, I didn't have to wait very long.
Where's the rest of the sacrifice for the feast?
I gave the priests a little extra.
A little? Why, it looks like you gave them over half of it.
Did you give it to them, or did they take it?
Well,
It's those sons of Eli. They're wicked, evil men. I knew we shouldn't have come.
No. Let's not get started talking about Hophni and Phineas again. This occasion is to be a time of rejoicing and thanksgiving. Prepare what's left of the sacrifice, and we'll have our feast. Yes, now there's your portion, and one for each of the children.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And here, Hannah, here's a little extra for you.
Thank you, dear. What's the big idea giving her some extra? Well, if that doesn't beat all, I'm the one who has the children, and I have to do most of the work. And she gets an extra portion.
Hannah, be careful what you say. You know that I love you both. Now, you should not be jealous of Hannah.
Jealous of her? She's the one that's jealous. Jealous of me because I have children, and she's barren. She's cursed of God.
Hannah, come back here. Oh, dear, I must go and talk to her. Hannah, why do you weep, and why do you not eat? And why is your heart sad? Am I not more to you than 10 sons?
Yes, I suppose you are, Elkanah, but why? Why doesn't God let me have a son?
I don't know, dear, but come, let us finish the feast, and then you can go to the tabernacle, make a special request to God as we planned.
All right.
Now Eli the high priest was sitting on the seat beside the doorpost of the temple, and Hannah, deeply distressed, prayed to the Lord and wept bitterly.
Oh, Lord of hosts, if thou wilt indeed look on my affliction and remember me and not forget me, thy maidservant, but will give to thy maidservant a son, and I will give him to the Lord. As soon as he's old enough, I will bring him to your tabernacle to remain and serve thee all the days of his life.
As she continued praying before the Lord, Eli observed her mouth. Hannah was speaking in her heart, only her lips moved, and her voice was not heard. Therefore Eli took her to be a drunken woman.
Woman, how long will you be drunken? Put away your wine from you.
No, my lord, I'm a woman sorely troubled. I have drunk neither wine nor strong drink, but I have been praying to the Lord. Do not regard me as a base woman, for I have been praying to the Lord because of my anxiety and vexation, praying that God would take away my burden and grant my request.
I'm sorry I misjudged you. It is seldom that I see anyone pray sincerely. Go in peace, and the God of Israel grant your petition which you have made to him.
Oh Lord, I thank thee that thou hast heard my prayer and given me this son. As I have vowed, he shall be thine. Just as soon as he's old enough, I will take him to your tabernacle, and there he shall remain and serve thee. Help me to train him to love thee, to realize his duty to thee. Give me the strength to keep my vow, and not to wish to keep him to myself. And grant that Elkanah, my husband, will look favorably toward my vow and help me. Help Peninnah to see the beauty of a full surrender to thee, and realize the worthlessness of arrogance. And above all, Lord, help me to be a good mother. Amen. You precious baby. It'll be hard to give you up, but I must never think of you as mine. You belong to God. I'll have to give you a name. Let's see. I know. I'll call you Samuel. It means God has heard, for he did hear me and granted my request. Elkanah,
Yes, what is it, dear?
in a few more weeks, it'll be time for the Feast of Booths.
So?
I don't think I'll go up to the tabernacle this year.
But you haven't gone up with us for the last several years. Don't you think little Samuel is old enough by now to make the trip? It's only a few miles.
He's old enough. That's not the reason.
Well, what is it then?
It's just that, well, the last time I was at the tabernacle, I made a special request to God that he give me a son, which he did.
Yes?
And when I asked for a son, I also made a vow to God.
What kind of a vow?
I promised God that I would give my son to him, to serve him,
Well, many mothers make a vow like that.
Yes, Elkanah, but my vow to God was more specific. I told God that I would take my son to his tabernacle just as soon as he was old enough to leave me. And there he would remain and serve the Lord all the days of his life.
I see.
Therefore, I must not take Samuel to the tabernacle and then bring him back home with me. I'm afraid that if I did each visit, it would become harder to leave him. The very first time I return to Shiloh must be the decisive visit.
You know that as your husband, I can nullify your vow.
I know.
It will be just as hard for me to part with little Samuel as for you. I love him very dearly.
Yes.
At the tabernacle, he would be exposed to the evil influence of Eli's wayward sons, Hophni and Phinehas. And Eli himself is getting old and feeble. It certainly is not a very good place for a boy to grow up. When did you plan to take him?
Just as soon as he's a little older. Another year or two. 3 at the most.
How could you do it? Why, the child is your whole life. Without him, what meaning would your life have?
I will always know that God heard my request, Elkanah. That he took away my reproach before Peninnah. Every day, little Samuel will be the object of my prayers. And each year I will make him a new robe with my own hands and take it to him at the annual feast. Elkanah, I cannot think of little Samuel as mine. He is the Lord's.
You shall keep your vow before God. I will help you and take also a vow myself. For now I know that you have a greater faith than I.
Mother,
Yes, dear, what is it?
I brought you some flowers.
Why, thank you, dear.
Only they're not as pretty as they were.
Do you know why, Samuel?
No.
They have been separated from their source of strength. That's why they wither and die. And it's just the same with us. When we become separated from the Lord, who is our source of strength, then we die spiritually. We forget all about God.
How can we keep from dying spiritually?
Well, the best way is to pray to God every day. Remember, he always hears your prayers. Samuel, do you know what your name means?
No.
It means God has heard.
Heard what?
Well, specifically, he heard my prayer. I wanted a little boy very, very much. And so I went to the tabernacle and asked God to give me one. And he did. He gave me you.
Oh.
But there's more to it than that. I told God that if he would give me a little boy, then I would give my little boy back to God.
Are you going to give me back to God?
Yes, I'm going to give you to God to serve him.
How?
Well, I'm going to take you to the tabernacle at Shiloh. You will live there and help High Priest Eli.
But I don't want to leave you, Mother.
Of course you don't, Samuel. And I don't want you to. But many of our people don't worship the God of heaven anymore. We need someone to lead us back to God. Perhaps that someone will be you. You've been specially dedicated to God. That's why you must grow up in God's house. Do you understand, dear?
I'll try to, Mother. I love you too, and I don't...
You love God too, don't you?
Yes.
Well, remember, son, that you belong to God. You must always love him above all others.
I'm willing to do what God wants me to do, Mother.
I see my sons are busy. Can I serve you? I see you have prepared a bullock for sacrifice. For what purpose?
It is to be a token of atonement, Your Grace.
An atonement? For whom?
Our son.
Your son? This little lad? I don't understand.
Do you not remember me, son?
No?
A few years ago, I came here and prayed earnestly to God.
Yes, 'tis now I remember. I rebuked you for being drunken. And I was wrong. I also blessed you, didn't I?
Yes, Your Grace. As you live, I am the woman who was standing here in your presence praying to the Lord. For this child I prayed, and the Lord has granted me my petition which I made to him. Therefore I have given him to the Lord. As long as he lives, he is given to the Lord.
Given to the Lord?
He is to remain here at the tabernacle. From this time on, he will serve the Lord.
Why were you so deeply distressed when you prayed to the Lord? And
Why did you weep?
I was childless and ridiculed as one despised by God.
And you are willing to give this child to the Lord?
Yes. His name is Samuel.
Hello, Your Grace.
Samuel. It means God has heard. Woman, I cannot help but marvel at your faith and devotion.
The aged Eli, himself an overindulgent father, was awed and humbled as he beheld his mother's great sacrifice in parting with her child, and he was reproved for his own selfish love. In humiliation and reverence, he bowed before the Lord, and they worshipped together. To battle at Aphek. Now the children of Israel went out against the Philistines to battle, and pitched beside Ebenezer. And the Philistines pitched in Aphek. And when the Philistines and the Israelites joined in battle, Israel was smitten. And the Philistines slew of the Israelite army 4,000 men. And when the Israelites had retreated to their own camp, the leaders gathered together and said,
Why has our God permitted the Philistines to defeat us? We have sinned. We have forgotten God. God's powers and blessings are no longer with us. Without God, we lose battles and will lose them until he is once again with us. I agree. We must return to God. We must confess our sins and again live blameless lives.
There is a better way, I think, to once again have God with us in battle. The Ark of the Covenant containing the 10 Commandments is the symbol of God's presence. It now reposes in the Holy of Holies at Shiloh. Let us send, fetch the Ark. When it comes, it will save us from the Philistines.
So the people sent to Shiloh, that they might bring from thence the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord. And when the Ark of the Covenant came into camp, all Israel shouted with a great shout, so that the earth rang with it. And the Philistines heard the noise of the shout.
Captain! Captain!
Yes, General.
That shouting, you hear it? What is it?
Oh, the Israelites, sir.
The Israelites. What are they so happy about?
Well, I understand, sir, that the Ark of their God has been brought into their camp.
The Ark of their God.
Yes, sir. It's some sort of chest or ark that gives them the power that we've heard so much about.
You mean walking through the Red Sea and the Jordan River and all the other superhuman things the Israelites have done?
Yes, sir.
And this Ark, their God, is in their camp now?
Yes, sir. And woe unto us, sir. This sort of thing has never happened before. There is no one, nothing that can deliver us out of the hand of the Israelite God.
We must not give up, Captain.
Oh, but sir, he's the same God who smote the Egyptians with the plagues and then delivered Israel out of the wilderness. What can we do against such a God?
Perhaps nothing, but we are going to try. Call together all our men, Captain. I shall talk to them. Oh, ye Philistines, I plead with you to be strong. Quit yourselves like men, that you do not be servants to the Israelites as they have been to you. We will battle the Israelites. We will be victorious if only you will fight. Fight! Fight!
And the Philistines and the Israelites fought. The battle waxed long and furious. Meanwhile, back in Shiloh, a very old man, infirm with age, unable to see, and filled with anxiety, spoke to his daughter-in-law.
Take me to the outer gate of the tabernacle, my daughter.
I'm sorry, my father, but I must insist that you remain here. You're old, blind, and the distance to the
Take
outer
me
gate.
there at once. I shall sit there by the wayside, awaiting news of the battle at Aphek. I fear for our people and for the Ark of the Covenant.
Very well, Father Eli.
Taking a position outside the tabernacle gate, the elderly Eli sat on a seat by the wayside, awaiting day after day the expected arrival of a messenger from the battlefield.
Stand aside! Stand aside!
What was that? Who was that? Daughter, did you see that? Whatever it or he was who rushed past here just a moment ago.
Yes, Father
Who
Eli.
was it? What was it?
A young man in great haste. He must have been in mourning, too. His clothes were rent and there were ashes on his head.
Was he a soldier?
Yes, Father Eli. A Benjamite, I think.
Oh, probably a messenger from the battle at Aphek.
Couldn't have been Father Eli, else he would have stopped and given you the message.
Perhaps he didn't notice me.
He couldn't have missed you.
Hear that? Hear that? People shouting and wailing. Daughter, go quickly and see what the excitement is. Return at once.
Father Eli, here is the messenger from the battle at Aphek.
Yes. What is it, my son?
Eli, sir, the army of Israel has fled before the Philistines. There's been great casualties among our people, and my sons, Hophni and Phineas, are also dead.
My husband!
I expected that. A judgment of the Lord for their sins.
Priest, Eli, sir, the ark has been captured.
Oh, captured?
Of the Philistines, sir, and taken back to their country.
Oh, it's my fault. My sins. The Lord has withdrawn his presence. Oh, I have dishonored God.
And the aged Eli, weak and in anguish, fell off the seat backward and brake his neck, and he died. There was great mourning and sadness in Israel, but in the camp of the Philistines there was great rejoicing.
How many Israelites did we slay this day, Captain?
About 30,000, General.
We won't hear any more from them for a while. And the ark of their God was supposed to be powerful. Not as powerful as our gods, huh? Where is the ark now, Captain?
Outside the camp, sir.
Did you see it?
Oh, yes, sir.
What does it look like?
Well, I didn't see it. Actually see it. I mean, well, there was a covering over it, but no one quite had the courage to uncover it.
Afraid?
Oh, General, let's say we were cautious.
You still think there's something mysterious and powerful about that ark of the Israelite God?
Yes, sir, I do.
You're probably right. And on that assumption, I think I'll send the ark to Ashdod, make a place for it alongside our god Dagon. In fact, I'll take the ark there myself and instruct the priests what to do. And, High Priest, place the ark of the Israelite God right here, before our god Dagon.
Yes, sir.
I wonder what's under that covering. High Priest, do you have the courage to uncover the ark?
Well, sir, I'm a high priest of the god Dagon. I doubt if Dagon would be pleased if I dared even touch the ark of another god.
Clever, High Priest. A very clever way to keep from having to take a chance on uncovering the ark.
General!
Yes, High Priest.
You'd better get rid of that Israelite ark, General.
Get rid of it? Why? What's that?
When I went in the temple for my morning devotions to the image of Dagon, it was fallen upon its face to the earth before the ark.
Well?
Well, it's never done that before, General.
I'm sure there's nothing mysterious about it. Just set Dagon up again and everything will be all right.
All right, General, if you say so. General!
Oh, what is it this time, High Priest? Dagon fall over again?
Yes, but more than that, sir. It's unbelievable, but Dagon's head and arms are cut off from his body as if by some giant hand.
I don't believe it.
Well, you come with me, General, and see for yourself. Come on.
I can't believe it. Something looks like a giant hand did cut up Dagon. I wonder why, who. High priest, gather up the pots of Dagon and put them back together.
Oh, no, sir, not me. I'll never touch that idol again, never. Nor will I ever walk near it even. And I'll instruct the under-priest to do the same.
What do you think happened?
It's the Ark of the Israelites. There's a strange power in it. I want nothing to do with it. Nothing whatsoever.
Nonsense.
Nonsense? Oh, then why did it happen? Why is it that all of a sudden...
General, I thought I'd find you here.
Captain?
Oh, General, strange illness has broken out among our people. They're dying like flies.
It's the Ark of the Israelites, I know it. The Israelite God is angry with us and with Dagon. I demand that the Ark be gotten rid of. It's a menace as long as it remains here.
Perhaps you're right, High Priest. Captain, call a general meeting of all Philistine lords. Lords of Philistia, you have heard how the Ark of the Israelites was captured during battle, and how its presence here in Ashdod has brought havoc to our god Dagon and death to many of our people. Now, lords, what shall we do with this Ark of the God of Israel?
Why not destroy it? Burn it!
Well, my lord, that may be a good idea, if you will do it yourself. Everyone here in Ashdod is afraid of the Ark. They won't even uncover it to see what it looks like.
If no one will even touch it, what is there we can do with it?
There are special handles protruding from the Ark. My men will touch those handles, but nothing else.
Then why not remove the Ark?
Sure, but where will we take it?
Well, don't take it any place. Just carry it around. Then its curse cannot rest upon any of our people or cities. You can get your soldiers to carry it around, can't you, General?
Of course.
Then do it. I suggest that your men carry it around and about the city of Gath.
Yes, sir.
And the Ark of the Covenant was carried about the city of Gath. And the hand of the Lord was against Gath. And many of the people thereof, both small and great, were destroyed with a great pestilence.
Captain, take the Ark away from Gath. Take it to Ekron.
Yes, sir.
But the people of Ekron, hearing that the Ark of Israel was to be brought to their city, were angry and fearful.
General, sir, the people of Ekron beg you not to bring the Ark to their city. Why, they claim, sir, that you do so merely to slay them and all their people.
We have to do something with the Ark. Take it to Ekron. That's an order.
Yes, sir.
And it came to pass, as the Ark of God came to Ekron, that the Ekronites cried out, saying,
They have brought about the Ark of the God of Israel to us, to slay us and our people.
So they sent and gathered together all the lords of the Philistines, and said,
My lords of Philistia, we, the people of Ekron, are low in spirit and of great sorrow. The Ark of the Israelite God has brought great destruction in our city. Many of our people have died of a strange sickness. So, lords of Philistia, we plead with you, we beg you, send the Ark back to the Israelites before it destroys all of our people and our cities and our land.
Hello, Lords of Philistia, what the captain says is true. Nevertheless, I say unto you that we should call together all the priests and diviners and have them tell us exactly what we should do. The power of the Israelite Ark is great and mysterious. Perchance we're not wise in the way we move the Ark. The destruction which comes on us might be greater than it is now. Now, my Lord of Ashton, what say you?
I agree with you, Lord of Ekron.
And you, Lord of Gaza?
I concur.
Lord of Escalon? Agreed. The Lord of Gath?
I heartily agree.
So shall it be. Now, Captain, gather together the priests and diviners.
Yes, sir, my lord.
And the question is, what shall we do with the Ark of the Israelite God?
Send it back to the Israelites.
But tell us, High Priest, where in Israel shall we send the Ark?
Well, more important than where to send the Ark is what peace and transgress offerings shall we send with the Ark.
Well, what sort of offerings should we send with the Ark?
Well, there are 5 of you lords. Lord Ekron, Lord Ascalon, Lord Gaza, Lord Gath, and Lord Ashdod. All of you and your cities have suffered death and sickness because of the Ark. Send 5 golden emerods and 5 golden mice.
Oh, why waste all that? Well,
Do not be like the Egyptians. They hardened their hearts, and great destruction was their lot.
When the Israelite God wrought wonderfully among the Egyptians, did they not let the Israelites go?
Oh, but gold and emeralds and mice. Oh, it seems like such a waste of gold.
You asked for our opinion.
All right. So be it.
Now, therefore, make a new cart. Take 2 milk cows on which there hath no yoke been put. Take their newborn calves away from the cows. Then tie the cows to the cart. Now put the ark of the Israelite God on the cart. And in the coffer by the side of the cart, place the jewels of gold. Then let the cows go.
Let them go.
Do not guide them nor force them. If the cows take the ark by way of the coast to Bethsheba, to the land of the Israelites, then ye shall know that the Israelite God hath brought all this sickness and evil upon you and your cities.
But the cows will probably go straight to their calves, tied at home.
That would be the natural thing to do, yes. Therefore, this test will prove once and for all if the Israelite God is or is not the one who brought about all our recent misfortunes.
And the men took 2 milk cows and hitched them to the cart, and shut up their calves at home. And they laid the ark of the Lord upon the cart, and the coffer with the mice of gold, and the images of their emeralds.
Now we'll all follow the ark and see what happens. Are we ready?
We're ready.
All right, Captain. Let the cows loose.
Yes, my lord.
They started off straight for the coast. Come on, Lord. Let's follow. Any second now, the cows will turn and start back for their calves.
Perhaps they won't.
It would be a miracle.
But listen to those cows. They're crying for their young ones. They want to turn and go back to their calves. But some power is forcing them onward towards Israel. What and why?
They're still headed straight for Bethsheba. They're not even turning the slightest bit to the right or to the left. A mystery.
The priest said it's proof positive that the Israelite God did bring those curses down upon us for having captured and stolen away his ark.
And the lords of the Philistines followed after the ark unto the very border of Bethshemesh.
Well, there is your proof that the God of Israel is powerful, worthy of worship, reverence, loyalty. But come, let's hasten back and make our report to the priests.
And it came to pass that many of the people of Bethshemesh were in the valley reaping their wheat harvest.
Oh, this is the last of the wheat fields, and am I glad?
Not me. I like to harvest. It's invigorating, healthy.
Oh, give me the work of a
Excuse me for interrupting, but isn't that a pair of cows coming down the road?
cows. Oh, yes, they are cows.
That's odd. Cows pulling a cart. And I don't see anyone guiding them, do you?
No, that is odd.
Let's go see what it's all about.
Others see it and are investigating, too. Well, why not us? Come on. Just listen to those cows bellowing.
That's the way cows sound when they're calling for their young.
Those cows seem determined to go someplace, and in a hurry, too. I wonder what that thing is on the cart.
A chest of some sort, looks like.
I think I know what that is. I remember not long ago I was in Shiloh, and a cousin of mine told me that the Philistines had stolen away the ark.
The Ark of the Covenant?
Huh? And my cousin described the covering over the ark, and that was just like it.
Maybe that is the Ark. That would explain those cows going unguided by themselves.
An angel of God must be guiding them.
And the 2 cows took the ark into the field of Joshua, and stopped, and stood there where there was a great stone. And certain men of Bethshemesh came and uncovered the ark, and they clave the wood of the cart, and built an altar, and offered the cows thereon as a burnt offering. And they put the coffers with the golden mice and the emeralds upon the stone. And a great crowd gathered and looked upon the ark and the offering of burnt sacrifices.
But why do you turn your face from the Ark and the offering of sacrifice?
I don't want to see it.
Why?
God commanded Moses on Mount Sinai that no one must look at the ark upon penalty of death. Even the high priest is to see the ark only once each year.
But nothing is happening, and look at these people, thousands of them, and they're all gazing upon the ark and the offering.
And the people of Bethshemesh, 50,040 in number, were smitten because they had looked into the ark of God. And they sent messengers unto the priests at Kirjath Jearim. The ark of the covenant is returned to the Philistines, and even now reposes by a large stone in the field of Joshua. Come, remove the ark, and bring it here to Kirjath Jearim. And the men of Kirjath Jearim came and fetched up the ark of the Lord, and brought it into the house of Abinadab. And Eleazar his son was sanctified to keep the ark of the Lord. And it came to pass that Samuel, the young prophet, knowing of these things, spake unto all the house of Israel, saying,
O ye people of Israel, how short is your memory? How long will you continue in your sinful ways? Remember you not the wondrous ways in which the Lord your God delivered you from Egypt? Have you so soon forgotten how God brought you through the wilderness to inherit this land of promise? Why do you not worship the Lord of creation? Prepare your hearts unto the Lord and serve him only. If you will do these things and gather together at Mizpah, then will I pray unto God, and he shall deliver you out of the hands of the Philistines.
And the people of Israel gathered together at Mizpah, and put away the strange gods of wood and stone, and they served the Lord only. And Samuel judged the children of Israel in Mizpah.
Now you're sure of your information, General? Absolutely sure. Yes, sir, my lord. Perhaps it's a trick, a ruse to get us to march against them. Oh, I doubt it, my lord. The Israelites seem to be at Mizpah on a peaceful mission, and their leader, Prophet Samuel, is talking to them, settling their disputes and differences. It's more like a holiday, a celebration. It's a military gathering. Still, it may be a council of war, and we can't take a chance. We must march against them. Oh, another easy victory for us, if you're right. I'm sure of it, my lord. Then gather together your footmen and horsemen. Prepare to march against the Israelites. Yes, sir, my lord.
Samuel, sir, the Philistine army approaches.
Philistines? Approaching Mizpah?
Yes, sir, I saw them myself.
Does anyone else besides you know this?
Yes, sir, several of us saw the Philistine army. Anyway, the entire camp will soon know it. The Philistines are only a few miles away.
Try to keep the people from panicking. I'll offer a special offering to the Lord and cry unto him in prayer to deliver us from the Philistines.
And the Lord God of Israel heard Samuel, and even as Samuel was still offering a burnt offering, the Philistines drew near to battle against Israel.
Oh, I think this is the end. We've sinned away our day of grace. The Lord will permit the Philistines to subdue us.
Samuel is offering a burnt offering unto God and pleading for us.
You think God will deliver us from the Philistines?
That's exactly what I believe.
How? Miraculously?
Could.
But really?
I think so.
Well, whatever God does will have to be done soon. The Philistine army's coming over that hill right now. Listen, we can probably even hear them. Yes, we can.
Almighty God of heaven, who delivered our fathers from Egypt, who opened the way across the Red Sea, who descended upon Mount Sinai amid fire and smoke and thunder, and who parted the waters of Jordan, can again, like now, manifest his saving power.
A terrible storm suddenly burst upon the advancing Philistines. Soon the earth was strewn with the dead bodies of mighty Philistine warriors. The Israelites stood silent, in awe, trembling with hope and fear. When they beheld the miracle of the storm, they knew that God had accepted their repentance and had forgiven them of their sins. Though unprepared for battle, They seized the weapons of the fallen enemy and pursued the fleeing host to Aphek, where they completely routed and defeated the Philistine army. It was here at Aphek, years before, that the Philistines had defeated the Israelites and taken away the ark. Now, at this second battle at Aphek, the Philistines were so thoroughly defeated that for many years they remained at peace with Israel. At the first battle at Aphek, the Lord had permitted Israel to be subdued because of her sins. Now, because Israel had repented and turned away from sinning, God brought them a great victory, an everlasting lesson to peoples, nations, and worlds, a lesson of obedience to God's laws and precepts.
King Saul saves a city.
Now God had said to Samuel,
Here is the man of whom I spoke to you. He it is who shall rule my people.
With this oil and at the direction of God, I anoint you, Saul, son of Kish, as the Lord's chosen king of Israel.
But the anointing of Saul as king had been done in secret. God's choice of a king had not been made known to the nation. When the time had finally come, Samuel sent messengers into all Israel, saying,
Hear ye! Hear ye! Samuel, priest, judge, and prophet of God, herewith request that all the children of Israel gather in Mizpah to choose a king. The Lord God of Israel demands your presence.
You have been summoned to Mizpah to hear the will of God, who has graciously granted your request for a king. Now, therefore, present yourselves before the Lord by your tribes, for God himself shall choose a king from among you.
Prayer was offered for divine guidance. Then followed the solemn ceremony of casting the lot. By this method, God would now indicate to all the people his divine choice of a leader for them. In silence, the assembled multitude awaited the outcome. First, the tribe of Benjamin was chosen from among the 12 tribes. Then the lot was cast for a family of that tribe. Finally, the lot was cast for the member of that family who was to be their king. The lot fell upon Saul, but Saul was nowhere to be found.
O God, Lord of heaven and earth, if it be thy will that Saul, the son of Kish, be king of Israel, reveal unto us his whereabouts.
Behold, Saul has hidden himself among the baggage.
Thank you, Lord. Run quickly and bring him here.
Yes, your grace.
Elders and people of Israel, here before me is the man whom God has chosen to be your king. Behold how he stands head and shoulder taller than any of you. There is none like him in all the kingdom. Be it known unto you, people of Israel, that your king is not to be like the kings of the heathen nations. Your king is not to be an absolute monarch, but he is to be in subjection to the will of the Most High God, the manner of the kingdom and the principles of the government.
While most of the people accepted God's choice of Saul for their king, there was a large group that did not.
I tell you, fellow tribesmen, that Saul is not the right man to be king. I refuse to acknowledge him as king, and I shall do all in my power to see that he does not become king. Even though he was chosen by the casting of lot, I refuse to abide by it. He's a Benjamite. And what is a Benjamite? A small fellow from the smallest of all the tribes. To choose a king from the tribe of Benjamin is to neglect both Judah and Ephraim, the largest and most powerful tribe.
I agree, gentlemen. In fact, I suggest that we refuse to recognize Saul as king, that we don't even pretend allegiance to him.
Brothers, quiet, please, quiet. I think that I am as well qualified to be king as anyone in all Israel, and I hereby announce my desire.
Samuel, sir.
Yes, Father.
Many of the people are opposed to my becoming their king. I hear that some of the tribes are putting up men of their own choosing as candidates for king. And so, sir, I think it would be best if I return to my usual duties.
You display a very wise and humble spirit, my son.
I shall leave in your capable hands the administration of the government, as you have so faithfully done these many years.
Go and return to your home. In his own way, God shall establish you as his chosen servant to rule.
Master, sir.
Yes?
A young man wishes an audience with you, Master.
An audience?
Yes, Master.
Probably another discontented Ephraimite. Disappointed because he was not chosen king. Show him in.
The Master will see you, sir. Long live the kings.
I am not king. I am Saul, son of Kish, a farmer. I happen to have been caught up in a whirl of circumstances that confuse me and have caused distress and trouble among the tribes.
Your Majesty, there are some of us who believe with all our hearts that you have been chosen of God to be king, king of Israel. And we have sworn allegiance to you and have every intention of sustaining you and your God-given right to the throne, regardless of what some others may think or do.
I'm afraid that you're doomed to disappointment, because I'm going home and once again take up my duties as a tiller of the soil.
We will escort you there, Your Majesty.
Escort me home? Oh, what for?
You are our king, Your Majesty, and your safety and well-being is our main concern.
I appreciate all this, and I want to thank your group for their belief in the divine choice and their concern for me, but thanks, I'll get home all right, my servant and I.
Saul, my son, may I voice an opinion?
Yes, Your Grace.
You, Saul, have been divinely chosen as king. These young men have faith and belief in that choice. Do not take away from them the honor of escorting their king to his home.
I honor and respect your advice, Samuel, and I shall always do your bidding. So if they insist, they may accompany me home.
Thank you, Your Majesty. We await your command. Long live the king!
This plowing is hard work. Well, one more round of the field and we'll quit for the day. Take care of these oxen, and be sure to give them plenty of feed. They worked hard.
Yes, Master.
A while ago, as I passed by the city gate, I heard much wailing and weeping. What ails the people that they weep?
There is trouble, Master, among the tribes east of the Jordan River.
Trouble? What sort of trouble?
Today, a messenger came from the city of Jabesh Gilead. He said that Nahash, the Ammonite king, and his army had invaded and taken all the territory east of the Jordan River, except the city of Jabesh Gilead. Nahash and his army are even now awaiting word from the elders of that city.
It seems that King Nahash will permit the inhabitants of Jabesh to live only if they agree to become his slaves.
Have they agreed to this?
Oh, no, Master. You see, sir, the king of Ammon insists as a mark of their subjection to him that each and every man, woman, and child of Jabesh have his right eye put out.
Their right eyes gouged out?
Yes, Master.
It's outrageous, unthinkable.
King Nahash gave the Jabeshites just 7 days to make up their minds. If he receives no word by that time, he will carry out his threat.
Oh, he will. He will not. Go quickly and bring me a sharp knife. No, I will get it. You gather together several score young men, strong and fleet of foot. Hurry, there is no time to waste.
Master, sir, here are the men you requested.
Men, you have heard of the danger to our fellow tribesmen across the river in Jabesh. Although they have formed a community by themselves, they had nothing to do with our tribes for several generations. We must go to their rescue. Yes, now I see many of you staring with awe and wonderment at this bloody mess.
Yes, Your Majesty. What is it?
I have just finished hewing my yoke of oxen into small pieces. It is these pieces that you will be concerned with.
We await your orders, Your Majesty.
Speed is of the utmost importance. There are but 6 days left in which to rescue the people of Jabesh Gilead. Somehow we must gather together thousands of young men from the far corners of Israel and march against the Ammonite horde.
Israel's young men are little prepared for war, Your Majesty.
True, but we have God and decency and right on our side. Now I want you young men to run quickly throughout all the coasts of Israel. Each of you will make known the plight of our fellow Israelites at Jabesh, requesting that all able-bodied men come to Bezek at once to join in the battle against Ammon. You will hold aloft one of these pieces of oxen and say unto them, "Therefore, all you men of Israel, look upon this piece of ox I hold in my hand. If ye do not answer the call to arms and join Samuel and Saul in defending the city of Jabesh Gilead against the Ammonites, so shall it be done to your oxen. Report at once to Saul at Bezek."
Now the dread of the Lord fell upon the people, and they came out as one man.
Long live the king!
Did you number the men who have reported for duty?
Yes, Your Majesty. There are 300,000 men from Israel and 30,000 from Judah. It would be almost impossible to form so many untrained men into anything resembling an army in so short a time, Your Majesty.
The Lord God is a God of miracles.
Yes, Your Majesty. Master, there are several men who have just come from Jabesh Gilead and wish an audience with His Majesty.
Show them in.
Yes, Master. You may come in.
You are from Jabesh Gilead?
Yes, Your Majesty.
Has the situation changed?
No, Your Majesty. King Nahash will slay all of our people and burn our city if we do not agree to having our right eyes gouged out.
Return to your elders at once and tell them that help is coming. By sunup tomorrow morning, we will be there and rescue Jabesh Gilead from that heathen, cruel king.
Oh, thank you, Your Honor. Thank you. I'll return immediately with the glad tidings. Long live the king! Long live the king!
Is there anything I can do to help prepare these untrained and unorganized hordes into the semblance of an army, Your Majesty?
Yes, there is. Choose from among your group 2 men of great faith and courage who have the ability to lead and direct. Then the 3 of you report back to me.
Yes, sir, Your Majesty. Long live the king!
When the messenger returned to Jabesh Gilead and told the people all that Saul had said, they were exceedingly glad. And the men of Jabesh Gilead sent a messenger to the wicked king Nahash.
This man is one of the representatives of Jabesh. Yes, I remember him. Come forward, slave.
Long live the king! Long live the king!
You have a message from your people?
Yes, Your Majesty.
Your people have given up hope? They are ready to have their right eye put out? Or do they prefer death?
Tomorrow, Your Majesty, all Jabez Gilead will come out to you, and you shall do as you desire with them.
We'll gouge out your right eyes, just as we said we'd do.
Yes.
It seems strange to me, Your Majesty, that some of the Israelites residing on the other side of the Jordan don't come to the rescue of these besieged Jabeshites. I'll tell you why they don't. They're fearful of our superior forces. They know they don't have a chance. You!
Yes, Your Majesty.
Return to your people and prepare them for the fun of having their right eyes put out tomorrow.
Yes, Your Majesty. Long live the king. Long live the king.
Meanwhile, at Bezek, in the camp of Saul and the 130,000 young Israelites.
Your Majesty, here are the two men of unusual strength, courage, and intelligence you requested.
Greetings, Your Majesty. Encamped outside the city of Jabesh, on the other side of Jordan, is King Nahash and his army. On the morrow, he's either going to destroy every man, woman, and child of Jabesh Gilead and burn their city, or put out the right eye of every one of them and make them his slaves. We are here to prevent this. Jabesh Gilead is only 10 miles away, yet getting there presents some problems. There is the River Jordan to cross. Above all, we must approach the camp of King Nahash without his knowledge, surprise him and his army. For this delicate, difficult operation, I am depending upon you three.
We will do our best,
Yes,
Your
Your
Majesty.
Majesty.
We will divide our 130,000 men into 3 companies. Each of you will be in charge of one of those companies. You will approach the Ammonite camp from 3 different directions, just at sunup. While the enemy still sleeps, you will attack simultaneously at a given signal from me.
Your Majesty. Your Majesty. Your Majesty. Go away, I'm a slave, Your Majesty. There's a battle raging. The enemy has attacked. Go away, Battle. The enemy has attacked. What enemy? The Israelites. The Israelites don't have an army. They don't even have a general. Your Majesty, they have attacked. Their army is playing havoc with our men. Hear them, sir. They draw near even at the very center of our camp. Where are my clothes? Lucky, get my suit of armor. Lucky! We're going to lose the battle, General. No, we don't get good. Let's fight armor bearer. Armor bearer. Armor bearer. Careful with that suit of armor. There has been time. Well, go out there and do something, General. Organize the defense. Chase the enemy away. Kill them. Then go to Jabesh and destroy the people and the city. Immediately. That's an order. Hey, yes, Your Majesty. Now, long live the king. Long live the General. Come back here. Remain with me. If things go too badly, I'll have to escape. The best I can, and I'll need your help and protection. Yes, Your Majesty.
The armies of Saul came into the midst of the camp in the morning watch and cut down the Ammonites until a heat of day. And those who survived were scattered so that no 2 of them were left together. After the battle, Samuel stood before the children of Israel and said,
People of Israel, God has this day given you a signal victory over the enemy. Can there be any doubt left in the minds of any of you that Saul, son of Kish, is truly the divinely chosen king of Israel? Today, God has performed miracles on our behalf. Today marks the beginning of the reign of Saul as your king, King of Israel. Come, my people, let us go to Gilgal and there renew the kingdom.
So all the people went to Gilgal, and there they made Saul king before the Lord, and sacrificed peace offerings before the Lord, And all the men of Israel rejoiced greatly. After Saul had reigned over Israel for a period of time, he chose 3,000 of his best soldiers and sent the rest away, each man to his own home. And of the 3,000 soldiers, 2,000 were with King Saul at Michmash, and 1,000 with Crown Prince Jonathan at Gibeon. Now Jonathan was concerned about the idolatrous Philistines who troubled Israel.
During all the time that Samuel ruled Israel as judge, prophet, and high priest, we lived in peace with the Philistines. Yet they were among us as our overlords, exacting tribute and servitude. I think it is time we put a stop to this.
I doubt, Your Highness, if anyone will argue with you on that point.
My father, the king, is stationed at Gilgal with 2,000 men. Nearby, a matter of only a mile, is a garrison of Philistine soldiers. Undoubtedly, they watch the king's camp, guarding against a surprise attack. But we here at Gibeah are not watched, for we are 5 miles away from the Philistine garrison.
You are thinking, sir, that we could launch a surprise attack?
That is exactly what I'm thinking. The Philistine stronghold is on the south side of a deep and rugged valley or gorge. With swift action and secret movement, we could surprise them. Overcoming the garrison would then be a simple matter.
And Jonathan defeated the garrison, which was at Gibeah, and the Philistines heard of it and were very angry. Word was also taken to Saul at Gilgal.
Your Majesty, may I approach and speak to you about a very important matter?
Of course, Abner. Come forward.
It has come to my attention, Your Majesty, that the king of the Philistines is furious about the destruction of his garrison at Gibeah.
I don't blame him. I would be too.
But, sir, it means total war against us. The king has called all able-bodied Philistines to join the army. They are at this minute preparing to march against us.
Well, Abner, war with the Philistines had to come sooner or later. Send messengers immediately through all Israel, calling all our able-bodied men to Michmash to prepare to meet the Philistine army.
The Philistines mustered to fight with Israel 30,000 chariots and 6,000 horsemen, and troops like the sand of the seashore in multitude. And when the men of Israel saw the huge army of Philistines, they became filled with fear, and did hide themselves in caves, and in holes, and in rocks, and in tombs, and in cisterns.
The situation is becoming serious, Your Honor. When shall we attack?
Samuel said he would come here and offer burnt offerings and peace offerings before the Lord. Furthermore, he specifically told me I must wait 7 days till he should come and show me what I should do.
The work of seeking God by sacrifice was a most solemn and important work. And God required that the king and the people search their hearts, repent of their sins, that the offering might be made with acceptance before him, and that his blessing might attend their efforts to conquer the enemy. The time for the proving of Saul had come. As the chosen leader and king, he was now to show whether or not he would depend on God and patiently wait. Could God trust him in trying places as the ruler of his people? Would he listen to God's commands and obey them? Would he turn the attention of his faint-hearted soldiers to the God of heaven, who alone could help them? Day after day, Saul tarried, but without doing anything himself to encourage the people and inspire their confidence in God. He became more impatient. Finally, on the 7th day, Saul said,
"Bring me the burnt offerings here to me, and the peace offerings."
Equipped as he was with armor and weapons of war, he approached the altar of God and offered the burnt offerings. By this act, he was really saying that he was both king and a priest. Now, as soon as he had finished with the offerings, behold, Samuel came. When Samuel heard what Saul had done, he said to him,
"You have done foolishly. You have not kept the commandment of the Lord your God, which he commanded you. The Lord would have established your kingdom over Israel forever. But now your kingdom, Saul, shall not continue after you. The Lord has sought out a man after his own heart, and has appointed him over his people, because you have not kept what the Lord commanded you.
And Samuel departed from Saul. Then great fear fell upon the people.
How many of our soldiers are left, Abner?
About 600, Your Majesty.
There isn't much we can do against the Philistines with only 600 men.
And the Philistines know that, sir. Even today, they sent out 3 companies of men to confiscate food and supplies. What are we going to do?
With only 600 men, there is nothing anyone can do.
But the king was wrong. There was one man among those in camp that could and did do something. And this man said to his armor-bearer,
"Let us go over into the Philistine garrison on the other side of the gorge. It may be that the Lord will work for us, for nothing can hinder the Lord from saving by many or by few."
You need but command, Your Highness. I am with you.
Good. You and I shall go out of camp secretly, lest my father the king find out about our purpose. We will make our way down the steep cliff to the bottom of the gorge. Then, by using protruding rocks and ridges of the valley, we will pass unheard and unseen to the very foot of the Philistine garrison.
It will be a dangerous mission, Your Highness, but with care and caution, it can be done.
When we are safely there, we shall suddenly step out from behind a rock and reveal ourselves to the Philistines.
And have spears hurled at us?
I don't think so. I think they will be so surprised that they will do nothing except perhaps inquire what we're doing so close to their garrison.
Yes, I agree. Then what, Your Highness?
I'll discuss the plan of attack with you when we get there. Are you with me?
I am ready, Your Highness.
Very well. We'll leave camp separately, saunter away as if we had nothing special in mind, and we'll meet behind that large rock at the edge of the cliff.
Carefully, the 2 men made their way down to the bottom of the gorge, then silently threaded their way to a position below the Philistine fortress. Hidden behind a protruding rock, they counseled together.
In a moment, we shall step out into full view of the guards up there on the cliff. If they call down to us to remain here until they can come and get us, we shall do just that. But if they say unto us, "Come up here," then we will go up, and it shall be a sign unto us. Are you ready?
Yes, Your Highness.
O Lord God of Israel, be with us as we attempt to save thy people from the savagery of the heathen Philistines. Come, let us step out into full view of the garrison.
I am ready, Your Highness. They see us, Your Highness.
So I notice, and they're astonished, scarcely believing their eyes.
That one, he appears to be a captain. He's about to yell down to us.
You Israelites down there, come up here, and we'll show you the strength of our garrison. Samuel says God has rejected me as king. Rejected me. Me! I've made mistakes, of course. Few, like anyone makes.
But Your Majesty...
But it's an injustice. I've been a good king, and the throne should remain with my posterity. I am a man of valor and courage. Everyone says so. And I have vanquished many an enemy of Israel. Those things should offset the few mistakes I've made. I don't care what anyone says. I'll kill anyone who tries to get in my way. Anyone!
Your Majesty, you will recall that you ordered us to find...
I don't care what I ordered, who to do what. Right now I order you to keep still while I speak my mind. Understand? I am king. I'll have you remember that. Anyone who forgets it and doesn't show me the proper respect and homage will have his... I am king. I rule Israel. My word is law. I mean to be obeyed, and anyone who dares disobey will... What is that sound?
That, Your Majesty, is the harp player you requested.
Who told anyone to play? I didn't. I will not be interrupted even with music.
It is lovely music. But I didn't tell him to play. Off with his head, whoever he is. How dare he play without my permission? Off with his head, do you hear?
The Boy and the Giant.
Now don't just stand there. Do as I said. Off with that fellow's head, whoever he is.
You sent for him, Your Majesty.
I sent for him.
You ordered us to find and bring your good and clever player of the harp.
But why? Why did I want a harp player?
Because, Your Majesty, you were having spells of mental depression, and your counselors thought
Now
that...
keep still, keep still. I want to listen to that music.
Yes.
That fellow certainly can play the harp. It's the best music I've ever heard. Who did you say he is?
His name, Your Majesty.
Well, just bring him here. I want to meet him. His music does something for me. Quiets my nerves.
David, the harp player, son of Jesse the Benjamite, to see His Majesty, great and mighty King.
Come forward, David.
Long live the King.
Arise, David, my son. Why, you're just a lad. Are you a professional player?
No, Your Majesty. I'm just a shepherd.
A shepherd? Well, be that as it may, I wish you'd play some more for me.
As you wish, Your Majesty.
Surely God shall deliver me from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover me with his feathers, and under his wings shall I trust.
And thus it was in the providence of God. David, as a skillful performer upon a harp, was brought before the king. His lofty and heaven-inspired strains had the desired effect. The brooding melancholy that had settled like a dark cloud over the mind of King Saul was charmed away. When David's services were not required at the court of Saul, he returned to his flock among the hills.
Hello there. I'm back. So I see. I thought you were supposed to stay at the king's palace.
I'm not needed right now, so they let me come home.
How do you like being in the royal palace?
It certainly is an honor. I've seen and learned many things. There are many temptations put in the way of the king, and for that I feel sorry for King Saul. The king has many difficulties and responsibilities. Responsibilities ordinary folk would never dream about. I've seen the glory of royalty shattered with a dark cloud of sorrow. I know that the private life of King Saul and his family is far from a happy one.
Is it true that the king sometimes is mad, insane?
He has times of dejection and melancholy.
Oh.
It's made me think more about the harassments and troubles of men. Meditation, prayer, music. These things, by the help of God, are the things that will elevate the mind and drive away the dark clouds.
God was teaching young David lessons of trust. As Moses was trained for his work, so the Lord was fitting the son of Jesse to become the guide of his chosen people. In the court of the king, he was learning of the great responsibilities that rested upon the king of Israel. In his watch care over his father's flocks, David was gaining an appreciation of the care that the great shepherd of heaven has for the sheep of his pasture. All these things brought new thoughts to David, and a new, greater, and more serious theme to his music.
There's an evil which I've seen. It's common among men. A man to whom God hath given riches and honor, so that he wanteth nothing.
Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad,
and a gift destroyeth the heart.